Hi, I'm Dustin Abbott, and I'm here today to give you a little bit of a different review. I am here today to review the new LivePro L1 from FEELWORLD. I've reviewed a number of FEELWORLD monitors before. This is their new multi-format video mixer, which is a really great platform for taking in a variety of video sources. And it has a 2-inch LCD screen that allows you to monitor the 4 different video inputs, and a slider where you can use 14 different transitions that you can program in to transition between your various video sources, while having feedback from this as to what video source is ready to go, which is live, which will show red, and then flashing green. I've only got 2 inputs here today, so that's flashing that there is feed there and ready to go. And of course, I can monitor right on the screen what that feed is showing. So we're going to start off today by taking a closer look at what's actually here in terms of inputs, and then we'll move on from there with some other observations about it. So let's take a closer look at what you're getting for your money. First of all, I do really like the top plate here. It seems to be kind of like a brushed aluminum and a really nice looking finish on it, and so that certainly is nice. There's a lot of various ports on this, and so some flexibility when it comes to that. You do have a LAN port here that can be used for both communication and for firmware updates. USB 3.0, which obviously is in many cases going to be your signal out, depending if you're going to a live stream. Then also you have both in and out for audio if you want to run that independently. The power cable itself, it is a threaded on to make sure it's not going to pull out inadvertently. You do have 4 HDMI, full-size HDMI inputs, 1 HDMI output, and then on this other side it is threaded to where you could, potentially do some kind of like rack kind of mounting, or just for flexibility for some accessory that you're going to add on to there. Pretty standard threading at that point. You can also see that throughout there is a variety of heat sinks, and so I haven't had any issue with it starting to heat up in operation. Now up top, definitely the headline feature in my eyes is the fact that it does have this nice size 2-inch LCD screen that is going to allow you to monitor what's going on in your various inputs. And so you do have, the 4 different channels input right here, and so switching in between them, preparing the signal, and then this slider that allows you to do your effects, right in the midst of that, as we'll demonstrate as we go along. So you also have a couple of dials that can also be clicked, and so they can for selection for different things. You also have the button for the effects with 14 different transition effects that you can select from on this. And then, your menu button that you can then navigate primarily with this, both going through the dial in that way and then clicking for data entry. All in all, it's a fairly easy system to pick up and use, I've found. Obviously you've got to get through the technical part of, connecting everything and getting all of that working, but using the actual console itself, particularly if you have any kind of familiarity with this, is really quite simple, and thus it's going to be very, very useful. In terms of the build quality of what we have here, though, it seems to me to be fairly professionally made and good quality of materials, and so I have no complaints on that front. So as you can see, everything on the actual LivePro is very nice, and so let's talk about what it's for and what it's not for. Now, the reason why I'm reviewing this at this particular time is that I typically do more photography-oriented reviews, but this last year, a lot has changed due to the pandemic, and I can say personally that I've been forced. I'm not only a gear reviewer, a photographer, I'm also a pastor, and so I found that due to various lockdown restrictions, I've had to do a lot more online ministry in this last year, and communicating to my congregation in a variety of different ways. And so a lot of us, whether you're a pastor or not, most of you aren't, but most of us have had to, in various ways, use technology in different ways due to the pandemic, working from home, and if you're communicating, there's been a great demand, and a lot of these type devices have actually been sold out for months on end. I know because I was trying to purchase some at one point last year. And so I just feel like this is a really relevant device to be looking at this particular time and place. So first of all, I want to make very clear that this is not a live stream box. It is not wireless. You cannot just directly live stream off of this, but rather, as you can see in my setup here, is that I am using a USB 3.0 cable that came with it to connect directly from this into my laptop. And I'm actually using OBS Studio right now, which is a free piece of software to do my capture on today. Now, the only difference between what I'm doing here as opposed to streaming is that I am just capturing locally because I'm adding in a few pieces of content for the review. But all I'd have to do is actually just go online and start streaming from OBS Studio if I wanted to do that. So one of the core advantages, however, of this, so it's not a live stream box in that sense, but what it does allow me to do is that I can use a variety of different cameras that may or may not be ready for live stream. And I can run them into this, and because I'm running out an input or an output that is ready for live streaming, any of your cameras, DSLRs, mirrorless cameras, whatever, they can immediately become live stream capable by using this device right here. Now, that to me adds a lot of value when you consider that you're getting a lot of functionality in the deck here for $299. And I know from experience that, in researching kind of like capture cards or adapters to where I could take an input from a camera, run it into a computer and use it basically for either live streaming or like a webcam, that often those run around a couple $100. And so a lot of additional value here. So as far as limitations that I have seen, first of all, obviously, as noted, this is not a live stream box. And so if you thought you could live stream right out of this, that's not what this is for. Other limitations is that right now I'm actually recording from a couple of 4K sources. I've got my main camera on me right now is a Canon EOS R5, and then to my right, the cam that is showing us the deck is a Sony A9. So both are recording in 4K right now. However, our input here is limited to 1080 at 60 frames per second. That's also the limitation of the output. Now, that's a limitation for what I'm doing right now in that I have 4K sources. I could, theoretically then edit in 4K. However, if you're actually live streaming, it's far less of an issue considering the platforms you're likely to live stream to, which would be either YouTube or Facebook. They have a limitation of 1080 anyway. And so, so for most live stream applications, not a problem. If you're just using it as a video switcher, it could potentially be a limitation for you. Wanted you to be aware of that. And so if you need 4K switching for your application, you may need to consider some other kind of source. So where I see this being extremely useful is for those that want to use multiple video sources. And one great application is, of course, for churches that are maybe having to live stream for the first time and starting to invest in infrastructure, or if not a church, some similar type venue where you're having to transition from what you typically might do in person into an online venue. And so you're new to live streaming and you're wanting a source where you can hook up various cameras. And then, you can choose between different angles and views to try to kind of up your production value, above just having an iPhone, that's angled, facing at you, and you want to up your game. This is a great way to do it because it gives you the flexibility of having different video sources, but it's not requiring you to invest in, a deck and a monitor, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, all of these different things. And so, if you have a small footprint or you have a small budget, this is a great way to be able to add multiple cameras and also leverage maybe cameras that you've already gotten, and then have a platform where it's really easy then to live stream outside of that. So obviously you're still going to need a laptop or a computer of some kind to actually access live streaming if that is your intended goal. You could obviously add an external monitor here if you wanted to just HDMI out if the screen is small for you. But like I said, if you've got a small footprint, a small space to work in, this is going to be fantastic for you and just adds a lot of versatility. And again, at the end of the day, at $299, I feel like there's a lot of value that is here, certainly a value to me, and this is something that I intend to use. We're in the process of, we're in the process of building a new facility for the church that I pastor, and this will probably end up in our tech booth and being used for cameras there because it's handy, it's easy to use, and just adds a lot of versatility. I'm Dustin Abbott, and if you look in the description down below, you can find linkage there to various retailers. You can go check it out, see if you'd like to purchase one for yourself. Beyond there, there are also linkage to follow me personally on social media. You can sign up for my newsletter that comes out every Thursday, become a patron. And of course, if you haven't already, please click that subscribe button right here on YouTube. Make sure to click those notifications, and so you are notified when new content drops. Thanks for watching today. Have a great day, and let the light in.